Throughout history, fire has symbolized transformation. Gold is purified in fire. Iron becomes steel in fire. Clay hardens into pottery through fire. Fire is not comfortable. It burns, it removes, it exposes weaknesses, yet it is the very force that turns the ordinary into the valuable. Without heat, there is no refinement. In the same symbolic sense, semen retention functions like a refining fire in a man's inner life. It is not merely the avoidance of pleasure, nor is it repression. Rather, it is exposure to oneself without distraction, without sedation, without escape. The habit of constant release numbs awareness. Retention awakens it. An awakening feels hot before it feels powerful. Many men expect retention to feel immediately peaceful, confident, or mystical. Instead, the early stages feel like friction. Irritation increases. Thoughts intensify. Desires grow louder. Emotions surface. This is not failure. It is combustion. The fire has been lit. A man who indulges frequently lives in a cooled state. His mind is soothed by discharge, his tension drained, his drives reset to neutral. Problems remain, but they feel distant. Ambitions shrink, but they don't hurt. He is comfortable, and comfort can hide decay. Retention removes the anesthetic. Suddenly, unfinished goals bother him. Weak habits irritate him. Wasted time becomes visible. The same life he tolerated now agitates him. This discomfort is often misinterpreted as stress, but in truth, it is awareness. The fire reveals impurities. Impurities are not sins in a moralistic sense. They are inefficiencies in being. Laziness, avoidance, fear of confrontation, scattered attention, excessive entertainment, lack of discipline. These existed long before retention, but frequent release softened the edges so he never felt their weight fully. Retention forces him to feel the full voltage of his existence. The energy that once escaped outward now circulates inward. Instead of dissolving tension, it illuminates it. Instead of calming the mind artificially, it sharpens perception. What once seemed tolerable now demands correction. Fire does not create flaws, it exposes them. Iron in the forge first glows red, then becomes malleable, then is hammered, then cooled into strength. The hammering stage is uncomfortable, yet essential. Retention places a man in that phase of malleability. He becomes reactive at first. Small things annoy him. Motivation spikes and crashes. Focus oscillates. Many quit here, believing the practice is making them unstable. But instability is the restructuring of inner patterns. Previously, dopamine spike from release regulated his emotional system artificially. Remove the outlet, and the nervous system recalibrates. The brain relearns patience. The body relearns tension tolerance. The will relearns authority over impulse. He is not becoming worse. He is becoming unbuffered. A buffered man is calm because he escapes pressure. A refined man is calm because he withstands pressure. The difference is enormous. When not expelled, sexual energy changes character. It stops being merely physical and becomes directional. The same force that pulls a man toward pleasure begins pushing him toward creation. This is why many men on retention feel compelled to work, exercise, learn, build, or confront challenges. The energy must move. Fire cannot remain idle. It either warms a home or burns it. Without discipline, the increased drive turns into agitation, anger, or obsession. With discipline, it turns into productivity, charisma, and clarity. Retention does not give energy. It stops leakage. A man normally leaks motivation daily. After release, the mind relaxes in his satisfaction without achievement. Retention removes false completion. The brain no longer confuses pleasure with accomplishment, so it seeks real accomplishment instead. The fire forces him to earn relief through effort rather than discharge. One of the least discussed effects of retention is emotional resurfacing. Memories return. Regrets appear. Social anxieties intensify. He feels more exposed in conversations. He becomes aware of where he stands in hierarchies and relationships. This is refinement of identity. Constant pleasure numbs self-evaluation. Retention restores it. The man begins asking, "Who am I actually? What do I tolerate? Where am I dishonest? Where am I passive? These questions burn, but they also clarify. Just as metal impurities separate under heat, emotional illusions separate under awareness. He notices where he seeks approval. He notices where he avoids responsibility. He notices where he pretends confidence instead of building it. Retention does not automatically make a man confident. It removes the fog, preventing him from becoming confident. Confidence then becomes earned rather than simulated. People often describe an increased presence around disciplined men. It is not mystical magnetism, but coherence. When impulses are not constantly obeyed, behavior aligns. Words carry more weight because they come from a mind accustomed to restraint. A man who governs himself subtly changes how others perceive him. His eye contact stabilizes because he is less avoidant. His speech slows because he thinks before reacting. His posture improves because inner tension becomes organized rather than dissipated. Women often interpret this as safety rather than excitement alone. Not because retention is magic, but because restraint signals control. A man who can manage desire appears capable of managing situations. Fire removes softness from metal. Restraint removes softness from presence. Across cultures, traditions have linked sexual restraint with spiritual clarity, not as denial of life, but as concentration of life. When a powerful drive is mastered, attention stops scattering. Prayer deepens because the mind wanders less. Meditation stabilizes because impulse is quiet. Purpose sharpens because distractions weaken. Retention simplifies inner conflict. The man is less divided between intention and urge. This unity creates a feeling often described as peace, though it is actually alignment. Peace is not the absence of energy, it is energy under direction. The refining fire burns away compulsions, leaving intention clearer. However, refinement can produce arrogance if misunderstood. Some men begin to identify as superior simply for practicing restraint. This reverses the purpose. Fire purifies gold, but does not make gold boastful. True refinement produces humility, because the man witnesses his own former weakness directly. He sees how easily he was controlled by impulse and understands how easily he could fall again. The practice becomes vigilance rather than ego. The fire removes illusions of both inferiority and superiority. He no longer feels beneath others because he has discipline. He no longer feels above others because he remembers struggle. Humility is the stable temperature after purification. Retention fails when treated as suppression. Suppression traps energy. Refinement redirects it. The man must pair retention with action. Physical exertion to ground the body. Creative effort to channel imagination. Purposeful work to use motivation. Social engagement to stabilize emotion. Without outlets, pressure accumulates destructively. With outlets, pressure becomes propulsion. A steam engine works not by eliminating heat, but by directing it. Over time, the intensity changes. The early raging fire becomes a steady furnace. Urges remain, but lose tyranny. The man does not feel constant tension. Instead, he feels quiet readiness. His baseline mood stabilizes. Focus lengthens. Decisions improve. This stage is less dramatic, but more powerful. Short bursts of motivation are replaced by endurance. Impulsive excitement is replaced by steady drive. Temporary confidence is replaced by grounded self-trust. The fire no longer feels like burning. It feels like warmth. It is not semen itself that becomes mystical power. Rather, retention reorganizes relationship to desire. And desire governs behavior more than intellect does. When desire is undisciplined, intelligence serves impulse. When desire is disciplined, intelligence serves purpose. Therefore, the true refinement is volitional, the strengthening of will. A man becomes able to delay gratification in all areas: finances, diet, speech, reactions, ambition. The same muscle trained in one domain transfers to others. He stops negotiating with impulses and starts directing them. Fire hardens the blade. Discipline hardens decision. The goal is not lifelong tension or denial of sexuality. The goal is mastery, the ability to choose rather than react. Eventually, the man relates to sexuality consciously rather than compulsively. Whether he engages or abstains, the action becomes intentional. He is no longer driven, he drives. At that point, retention has served its purpose as a refining fire. The man has passed through heat into structure. He becomes calmer but more intense, quieter but more influential, restrained but more alive. Not because energy disappeared, but because it was organized. A refining fire does three things. It exposes, it burns, and it strengthens. Semen retention exposes the inner state a man has been escaping. It burns away habits of automatic indulgence. It strengthens the will that remains. The discomfort is not a side effect. It is the mechanism. Without heat, there is no transformation. The practice is not about moral superiority or mystical fantasy, but about confronting raw impulse and shaping it into direction. Many seek comfort to improve life. Refinement requires temporary discomfort to improve the self. In the end, the man does not worship the fire. He respects it. He passes through it and carries its structure within him. A steadiness forged under pressure, a clarity born from tension, and a presence that comes from knowing he can endure himself without escape. Like metal from the furnace, he emerges not different in substance, but different in form, sharper, steadier, and capable of holding an edge. That is the nature of a refining fire.